Hello, welcome to Raymond Castile's Basement of Horror. We haven't looked at very many 80s toys this season on Basement of Horror, so I thought we better rectify that and look at a very unusual and obscure, but very classic series of 80s monster toys. It wasn't classic at the time. It was just practically a rack toy at the time. It was a cheap off brand kind of a toy line, but it's become iconic with collectors over the years. So let's see, it's in this box. What do we have here? Aha. We are going to look at the Bugmen of Insecta. And to get a better look, we will take these out of the bags. I'm not going to take them off the card, but we'll take them out of the bags. I'll show these to you, then I'll tell you a little bit more about them. So this is a grasshopper. His name is Lord Grassa of the Bugmen of Insecta. Lord Grassa. He is a grasshopper. And he has a little companion insect. Looks like a housefly. Lord Grassa and his housefly. I think the best thing to do is just go through these first and then talk a little bit about them. Let's just get right to the toys. And you can see that his bubble is yellowing, unfortunately. Also, and you're going to see this on other ones, there are spots forming on the head and the arms and the legs. Now, that's not mold or fungus or anything like that. That is, unfortunately, a natural process by which the PVC breaks down. The elasticizer used in the PVC separates and leaches out and disappears. And that starts creating these spots. And probably if you open this up and touched it, it would be tacky. Probably. We don't know. We're not going to open and find out. But it's my understanding that a lot of loose Bugmen of Insecta are kind of tacky. And that it's part of it's because they're cheap toys. They're made of cheap plastic. In the 80s, they were not high-end mainstream toys. As I said, they were kind of off-brand, kind of semi-rack toys. They were sold in Toys R Us and you know, more upscale toy stores in the action figure aisle. But in spirit, they're rack toys. They're junky toys. And that's what makes them cool. But unfortunately, that means the materials they're made of are not very good. So they're going to break down much faster and more noticeably than, say, something that Mattel or Kenner might have made. So that's Grassa. Let's just keep going. We'll talk about these too, of course. I'll tell you all about them. But first, I want to actually look at the toys. So many of these episodes, I've noticed, I spend 15 minutes talking, and then I never get to the toy. Well, I mean, I get to it, but I get to it after everyone's fallen asleep. So I don't want to do that this time. I want to get right to the toys. Okay. There's 6 of these total. And this guy. Who is this guy? I believe he is... Oh, let me see. See, they don't say the name on the package. He's got 4 arms. So is he a Spider-Man? Yeah. Oh no, this is Black Widow, I think. So I'm going to tentatively say that this is Black Widow. So they all have names, and I'll tell you more about that later. This is Black Widow. I mean, Black Widow, Spider-Man sounds like the Avengers or something, but no, they're insect and arachnid creatures. So that's why they have names like that. Here's Black Widow. At least I think it's Black Widow. And Black Widow appears to have a wolf spider pet, a little companion animal. Everybody needs a companion animal. And speaking of companion animals, as of this recording, Stinker, my cat Stinker, is still alive. I've started giving him subcutaneous fluids. So I'm taking a needle with an IV and a bag of saline, and I'm sticking it into the skin above his shoulder blades, and I'm letting it drip. And he's getting that about every 3 days. So he has like 1 day on, 2 days off, 1 day on, 2 days off. And he's still alive and kicking. About a month after the vet said he'd be dead, he's still around. At least he was a few minutes ago. Hope he stays that way for a while. So I'm doing everything I can to take care of Stinker and keep him around for as long as possible. And I'm being his nurse, his caretaker. So that's my companion animal, along with my other cat, Miss Kitty. But Black Widow here has a companion animal, and that's this wolf spider. So there is Black Widow. All right. And this bubble is nice and clear, but the figure still has a little bit of spotting. Not as much as Grassa, but a little bit of spotting. Okay. Some of these bags are easier to open than others. Some of them are self-adhesive and others are taped shut. So I have them all in these. I have them in these protective comic book bags with a backer card. All right. That's the stag beetle, obviously. Okay. Yeah, his bubble's yellow a little bit. What is his proper name? Oh, there it is. So his name is Elephas. His name is Elephas, and he is a stag beetle. Elephas of the stag beetles. Isn't he cute? And his companion bug looks like a housefly. So Elephas and his little housefly buddy. Here's his little friend right there. Elephas, the stag beetle. He's cute. And his bubble is yellowing a bit. So these things have been kept out of the light in this box. They're in these protected bags, which actually the spots, part of that is because they're not exposed to the air. So a toy that's sealed in a bubble and then also in a bag too, that is going to have that problem of the PVC breaking down actually faster than if it was a loose toy. The loose toy will still happen, but it'll happen more slowly. So exposure to the air actually helps slow it down. But keeping it out of the light also slows it down. So it's kind of half and half. They're sealed up, but they're out of the light. But like I said, from what I understand, even loose Bugmen of Insecta are getting tacky. I've read that loose specimens tend to feel tacky. So which one is this? Let's see, he has 2 arms. You have to almost decode what the character is. He has 2 arms, so I think he is a Tiger beetle. Okay, I'm gonna say this is Carnivora, the tiger beetle. Carnivora, the tiger beetle. Or should I say Carnivora of the tiger beetles. So he is of a race of tiger beetles, and his name is Carnivora. He's the leader of the tiger beetles. He's like Lord Tiger Beetle. He's the big cheese. And his companion is a cockroach. He's got a little cockroach right there. Well, a big cockroach. And we know that these are human size because of the illustration where they're taking a human being prisoner. And we'll talk about that in a second. There's a Carnivora. And his bubble's pretty clear. So that's a good thing. His bubble's pretty clear. And maybe it's just because he's the color of his head and arms and legs is dark, so spots aren't going to show up, but I can't really see any spots, so he's doing all right. But again, it could just be because it's dark color, so the spots don't show up. Oh, this one's dusty. I wonder why. They've all been stored under similar conditions. Okay. Dusty. Okay, what is this one? It must be a killer bee. All right. And this one has a kind of a thick bubble. It's the bubble's deeper than the rest. So this is King Stinga of the killer bees. This is a killer bee, King Stinga, king of the killer bees. There's King Stinga. And King Stinga has a cockroach. You'd think maybe King Stinga would have a bee as a companion, but no, King Stinga has a cockroach. Probably 2 feet long, I'm guessing, this cockroach companion here. Why does King Stinga, the killer bee, have a pet cockroach? I don't know. Why do all of these insect people have insects and arachnids as pets? It's kind of like Goofy and Pluto, isn't it? Alright, so this is the last one. There's 6 total. And King Stinga has a little bit of spotting on the yellow part of his head, so yeah, a little something going on there. This one is, let's see, it's got 6 arms. I think there's only one that has 6 arms. Yep. Now wait a second. No, that can't be right. Okay, it's a little confusing, but I believe this is Webspinner. This character is Webspinner because it's confusing because Webspinner is a spider assassin of Black Widow. So Black Widow has spider assassins. This guy's a spider assassin named Webspinner, if I'm reading this correctly. So that's Webspinner. So now I'm thinking if this is Webspinner, then I think, let's see here. This is a Webspinner. Okay, so that's Black Widow. Where's the one with 4 arms? Well, it's really confusing. I don't know. So, which ones? I guess they're all Spider-Man. Okay. Yeah, it's confusing. I think this is a Webspinner, I think. And well, Webspinner has a wolf spider as a companion. This one has a lot of glare on it. Coming from the light. I can't really get it off though. I hope you can see that. Okay, so that's Webspinner. I think it's Webspinner. Alright, so why all the confusion about who's who and what's what? Because, in Webspinner, Bubble's pretty clear, and because he's all black and dark colors, I can't really tell if he's got any spotting. But Bubble's pretty clear. So here's the back of the card, and this tells the story of Insecta, and what is Insecta, and what's the history of Insecta, and who are all these characters. So I'm reading this, trying to figure it out, and it's a little confusing. It's not laid out really well. Their individual characters aren't really identified very well. Some are, some aren't. It's a little confusing. Okay, this one's a little lighter. Okay, I'm going to read you the story of the Bugmen of Insecta. Well, first let me tell you who made this. So these were made in 1983, and they were still in production in 84. We know that because they're in a catalog from 84, but the copyright on the package says 83. So obviously it's called the Bugmen of Insecta. It's made by a company called DFC Multi Toys Corporation. DFC Multi Toys Corporation, or MTC. You see that on some packages. Like there's a MTC logo on these on the corner here. So MTC Multi Toys Corporation, and they were not a big player in the toy world, but for collectors, they're almost like the A-High of the 80s in a way. Kind of like A-High, they were competing against the big boys like Mattel and Hasbro, but they're doing it with these weird little cheap knockoffs of the kind of toys that those companies were making. And some of the toy lines that they're known for today, besides Bugman, Nightmare Warriors, which you've seen on this show, which are skeleton warriors from different historical characters, like Sir Lancelot or Spartacus, Geronimo. They're skeleton versions of these historical characters. I guess they're supposed to be the ghosts of these historical warriors. And that's a really, really cool toy line. They also made Dragon Riders of the Styx, which you've also seen on this show. Dragon Riders of the Styx, a very bizarre sword and sorcery, Dungeons and Dragons inspired toy line, 3 3/4 inches. The Nightmare Warriors are more like He-Man style, and Dragon Riders are more like G.I. Joe style, 3 3/4 inch, or Star Wars style. And these things, they're kind of, I don't know what you call this. They don't really fit a pre-existing format. They're kind of their own thing. They're not, I mean, the closest thing from the era, I guess, would be He-Man, but they're not really He-Man style. Multi-Toys also made some Blue Thunder licensed toys. And they made, for the 50th anniversary of the Wizard of Oz, a whole bunch of Wizard of Oz toys. So if you've seen these kind of cheesy looking 12-inch Wizard of Oz dolls and some 3 3/4 inch figures, though, that's Multi-Toys Wizard of Oz. And I think that they were put out in 88, even though the Wizard of Oz, I believe, is 39. So the 50th anniversary would have been the following year, I think. And I actually have some of those Wizard of Oz toys, believe it or not, that I bought at the time at the store. I was visiting my grandparents for a week, and we went to a store, and I don't know why, but I wanted these Wizard of Oz toys, so I bought some of those 12-inch dolls, which I still have. In fact, I just saw them today when I was digging around to find these. So Multi-Toys made all these weird, kind of slightly chintzy, off-brand sort of action figures. And in addition to these 6 characters in the Bugmen set, there's also 2 vehicles. One's called, I think it's the Grass Skull Sled, and the other is the Widow Flyer, like Black Widow. And they're basically Dragon Riders of the Styx vehicles that have been repurposed for Bugmen. I don't have the vehicles. I probably never will. Those are rare, and it'd be nice to have them if I kind of stumbled onto getting them, but I wouldn't go out of my way to seek them out and spend the money required to get them. But, who knows? I mean, I've got the set here of the figures, so maybe I should just go ahead and get the vehicles. I don't know. One of the interesting things, I was going to read you the story here, but first, one of the interesting things about more recent things about the Bugmen, this grasshopper character. This apparently, I don't know if it's ever been officially confirmed, served as the inspiration for the character Twitch in Toy Story 3. So if you've seen Toy Story 3, there was an insectoid, humanoid insect character named Twitch, and people generally agree that it must have been based on this action figure from Bugmen of Insecta, although I don't know if anyone associated with the film has ever officially confirmed that. And there are toys of Twitch, so it might be kind of neat. And I think I've seen online photos where people have taken the Bugmen figure and the Twitch figure and photographed them side by side. So that's kind of cool that the toy line had that kind of reach and influence. But now let me read you a story. So one of the, kind of like how we talked about the Super 7 Reaction Universal Monsters, that line, one of the coolest things about the line was the card art, and the card art really made the toy line. That's what really made people want to seek out the toy line. The figures are nice too, but that card art for the 2018, 2019 figures, the card art was just wonderful. And I think it's the same way with these Bugmen. This card art really makes the toy. The figures themselves are pretty modest, but my goodness, this artwork, yikes. You've got what looks like an adventurer or some kind of old-fashioned soldier. He almost has like a G.I. Joe look. This bearded guy. Oh, he looks like he'd be searching for she who must be obeyed or something like that in some old pulp adventure. And he's been captured, and one of the Bugmen is stringing him up on a web. And then you've got the stag beetle looking really ferocious. The stag beetle is facing the viewer as you look at the card. It just looks so atmospheric and strange. It's like a movie poster, like a 50s movie poster. It's really lurid, weird artwork. Bugmen of Insecta, the insect warriors from beneath the earth. So Insecta is a subterranean world, and it's divided into, from what I understand, 5 insect or arachnid nations. But there's 6 characters because there's 2. Remember, we had that confusion because there's 2 spiders that apparently are from the same bug nation. So let's read this. Bugmen of Insecta. Eons ago, when life began on Earth, many insects came to the surface, but more remained deep beneath the earth to build a world of their own. Insecta, the insect world. During the centuries that followed, 5 tribes emerged. The largest, the Spider-Men, led by Webspinner 4. Ruled insected. Now see, there's a typo. That's why I got fouled up. The largest, the Spider-Man, led by Webspinner 4, ruled Insecta until 25 years ago, when a revolt occurred, led by a coalition of elephas of the stag beetles. So elephas, plural, I guess. It must be 1 elepha, 2 elephas. King Stinga of the killer bees, Lord Grassa of the grasshopper men, and Carnivora of the tiger beetles. So this coalition included elephas of the stag beetles, King Stinga of the killer bees, Lord Grassa of the grasshopper men, and Carnivora of the tiger beetles. And so this coalition divided Insecta into 5 separate nations. Webspinner 4 sent the Black Widow and her spider assassins to cause havoc all over Insecta. Now, the Black Widow has returned, and the Spider Nation is ready for the final battle to rule Insecta. On both sides, the slave drones of spiders, roachmen, and flies are paused for battle. Probably meant poised for battle, but it says paused. Today, they battle for Insecta. Tomorrow, they may battle for Earth. And it's made in Hong Kong. Oh boy, I like how they put such a fine point on it that they ruled until 25 years ago, precisely. 25 years ago. Oh boy, and they have all these... And these photos show all these figures. I wonder if if they're hoping that it's suggesting to the kids that maybe you need to buy more than one of each of these figures, so you have these armies like they show in these illustrations. Oh gosh. And then it's weird, the continents of Insecta, how it shows how one is divided into. How dramatic. It has a little line going across one. But it shows them without the line, then later shows them with the line dividing it. And then when they cause havoc all over Insecta, it looks like some kind of European village, like terrorists have blown up explosives in some European village. Doesn't look like anything insect people would inhabit. And then these crazy vehicles, what the heck? These are like tigers or something. They look like cats. How weird. Oh boy. Very, very strange toy line. Well, I like how so many of these weird 80s and 90s off-brand toys, these knockoff toys, on the backs of these cards, they have these goofy, overly dramatic stories. And that's not even the most... I've read much more goofy, dramatic stories than that. There's some grit on my bubble. I don't like that. How'd that get there? Anyway. It's just so goofy. These overwrought histories of these characters and trying to set up some kind of a scenario. And I think that comes from He-Man, because He-Man came with these comic books that told you the story of that world and the different characters and why they're opposing each other, and who was He-Man and who was Skeletor and how they came to be. And I think those little comic books from He-Man inspired some of these other companies to draft these ridiculous histories. So there they are, the Bugmen of Insecta. It's a very fun, weird line of toys. Very unusual. Really, really dramatic artwork on the card. The card is half the reason to buy the toy. And it's a lot of fun. I'm glad I have them. It's too bad that because they're cheaply made, that the PVC is deteriorating, basically. And the bubbles are yellowing. And there's really nothing you can do about it. It's just it's made of poor materials in the first place, and they're going to age poorly, and so the bubbles are going to get more and more yellow, and the plastic's going to become more and more spotted. And I'm sure if you remove them, they would be tacky. And that's just the way it goes with some of these low-end, off-brand kind of semi-rack toy action figures, these knockoff action figures. They're just poorly made, which is part of their charm. But it also means they may not have the longevity of a more mainstream toy line. Longevity, not in terms of popularity, longevity physically. They may physically break down over time at a faster rate than something that Mattel or Kenner or Hasbro would have made. But as a friend of mine once said, some beauty was not made to last. So, that's it. I hope you enjoyed our little exploration of Bugmen of Insecta. There's other stuff in this box. Now, the first season, the format was I'd take a box and just anything that was in the box I'd show you. And I thought that just got... I needed to be more organized and focused. So now I'm focusing on particular toys or toy lines. But I'll have a little preview. Next Halloween, I think we'll look at these guys. We'll just show you one of them. This is what else is in this box, and this is what we will see next October. Made by Soma, is that how you pronounce it? S-O-M-A, Soma. But that's not now. That's 10 months from now. That'll be for Halloween. All right. Now you have something to look forward to. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. And I hope you'll join me again for Basement of Horror. Until next time, remember that he who dies with the most toys is dead.